Ain't that the truth?
And the short, The Glass Cabin.
All right.
I'm sure after you see these films, you're going to want to tell your friends and family about it. So when you post on social media, be sure to use the hashtag ScreamfestLA. Also, follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook. We do monthly screenings of classic horror films throughout the year, and it's a lot of fun. And don't forget, after today, we still have 3 more nights of features and shorts, so we hope to see you come back. After the screening, we're going to have a Q&A with the director of A Good Woman is Hard to Find, Abner Pastoll. I read that right? Okay, and right now we're going to have the producer of The Glass Cabin say a few words about the short.
Hi, I'm Maya, and this is Rebel, the star of the short. We're so excited for you to watch it. It's a very creepy psychological thriller. And if you want to know more, tap us at the end of the screen, or at the end of the feature, because we're staying for the screen. You ready?
Thank you guys for coming. This is so fun.
Thank you.
And now we're going to have Abner say a few words about his feature.
Yeah.
Good. I'm not going to keep you too long. I just wanted to say it's really an honor to be here at Screamfest, and I hope you enjoyed the film. It was a very difficult film to make, which I can tell you all about at the Q&A afterwards. I'm sure you'll have many questions for me. You better. Stick around, and I'll see you after the screening.
Okay. And now, enjoy the film. Hello. So, tell me how you got involved in making this film.
So it was 1 month before the world premiere of my last movie, Road Games, at Screamfest in London in 2015, which is 4 years ago. I was looking for a writing partner because I had some ideas and I wanted to work with somebody. I wrote my last movie and I wanted to work with somebody to bounce ideas off and whatever. So my producer knew this agent. We reached out to him and said, do you have any writing samples for some of your clients? He sent me 5 samples. One of them was a script called A Good Woman is Hard to Find by Ronan Blaney, and it blew me away, and I just thought, like, I wasn't actually looking for a script. I was looking for something that was, samples so that I could find somebody to work with. But then I found the script, and so I said, what is actually happening with this project? Is it available? Because some of the samples I read were produced works or things, just basically just as examples. And so anyway, it turned out that not only had he just finished writing the draft of that script 1 week before, but I was actually the first person other than his agent to even read it. So I said at that moment, okay, I'm going to make this movie. That's how I became involved.
So, how much did the story change from that initial script?
We developed very tiny details, but it's pretty much true to the script. It pretty much is the script that I read. Yeah.
Cool. The heart of your movie is Sarah Bolger.
Yeah.
How did she become involved in it?
So when I read the script, she's the only person I could see in the role. So it's very straightforward. I just basically sent her the script, and she read it within 24 hours and said, I love this character. So I said, okay, let's do it. It's probably the easiest casting I've ever done.
Does anyone have any questions? No. Right there.
Can you talk about working with the kids on set?
What do you want to know?
How was it to direct them, especially in the more dramatic scenes?
It's kind of interesting because obviously working with children, you only have limited hours as well. And also the content of the movie is pretty extreme for having to find kids where their parents are kind of cool with them being in this movie, and trying to figure out how much do you shield them from the information or whatever. But the boy in particular, Rudy, who plays Ben, he was very much into it, so he would always come up to me and ask me, is this before or after my mum chops up Peter? Because he had to try and figure out which moment he had to get into character. It's actually their first film. It took me a couple of months to find the kids. We did a bunch of workshops in Belfast. I was trying to find two kids who could believably be brother and sister, and also just to be themselves. just to just sort of like naturally exist, because I didn't really, the focus of the movie isn't so much the children, so I wasn't looking for like the next like child star. Ooh, hello. But yeah, basically working with them was a delight. I think on day one, when we first started, within the first 10 minutes, I remember Sarah and I looked at each other and we were like, fuck, we're gonna have to cut the kids out, because they didn't, it was overwhelming for them. They didn't know how anything worked. And but then like by the end of day one, they picked up the rhythm, and it was easy to work with them at that point.
Who else? Right back there.
Hi, had you worked with the cinematographer before? Because the editing was great, by the way, too, because I saw that you edited it.
Oh, thank you very much. So yes, my DP Richard Bell is from South Africa via Australia. I met him in London about 4 or 5 years ago, and we had worked on a couple of short things together. This is his first feature.
Wow.
But yes, we had worked together, and you know, I really wanted to give him a shot, because I believed that he had the chops to do something really good, and he did.
Was it a lot of Steadicam and handheld? Like, what did you?
We had a mix between Steadicam and handheld, and a lot of that was actually due to last-minute sort of budget constraints, that we had to be really inventive with how we shot the movie. We spent months planning shot lists and stuff, and like literally 1 week before tore it all up because of circumstances on the film. We just like, okay, fuck it, we're just gonna just shoot however we shoot. We managed to get through it.
Who else has a question?
Yep. This may actually be a question for your writer, but you may be able to answer it. I was curious what his leading idea was for writing this.
Frustration with the current situation of the world politically.
Okay.
That was his initial inspiration for it, and he came up with this character who is brushed aside by the authorities and the politicians and everyone. They don't give a shit about her, and that's basically his initial inspiration, and everything else is just sort of like, it just came to him randomly after that.
Gotcha, so that's why there was the peppering of the politics always being on the...
Exactly, we never really wanted to focus on that. It's happening in the background, because that's kind of, I guess, the you know, the initial sort of inspiration for where the character came from.
Understood. Cool.
What's the genesis of the title?
Well, I mean, you have to ask my writer, because he came up with it, but I think he's referencing the Bible. It's from the Bible. A good woman is hard to find and is worth far more than diamonds.
Who else has a question? Okay, way back there.
I noticed in the credits at the end that you used a musical piece from a cult classic from Korea called Train to Busan.
No, we didn't use the piece from that movie. The track is called Train to Busan. It's actually by my composer. It was the only piece of his music that was pre-existing, and what that was a piece of music that he, a couple of years ago, he's very prolific. This is his first feature too, actually, my composer, but he's a very prolific artist. He releases tracks and albums, EPs all the time on Spotify. You can find him, Makeup and Vanity Set. What he did a couple of years ago is, in the month of October, every day of October, he composed a piece of music that's inspired by one of his favorite movies. And that one was Train to Busan, because that piece of music that he composed was inspired by the movie, the Korean movie, but it has nothing to do with the film. It's just called Train to Busan. And so that one piece was used in the movie, and that's why it's listed like that.
Train to Busan is one of the Korean cult classics in the horror genre.
Correct.
And I'm wondering how this one fits into the classic horror genre. It doesn't to me. I don't see it.
How it doesn't fit into the horror genre?
That's right.
Well, it's subjective.
Yeah, I think it does.
It's playing at a horror festival.
It still, to me, doesn't strike me.
That's fine. Many people think that.
Now that's not.
There's no right or wrong answer.
That's not to say that I dislike the film. I liked it very, very much.
Well, that's good.
But I didn't see it as a horror movie.
That's fine too.
Patrick.
I have to wonder if the real horror was
just knowing that something like this was conceivable, that we could actually trip over people like this on the street. Because even though I don't know if this was on your mind, but I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to buy the DVD to hear the audio commentary track. But anyway, I'd like to know if it was autobiographical, based on actual people, because it plays like Desperate Hours meet with a touch of Deliverance. And what's that other movie about the lady with the two kids who stumbles on her, the old gimmick of a woman discovering who her husband really was, or was that Rashomon, or?
Does anyone remember what that was?
It played up to a point like Desperate Hours, except for the dismemberment scene.
Right.
That was pretty intense. I mean, very graphic, realistic. I have to commend you for that.
Okay, good. What was your question?
That was based on actual people.
No, I mean, it's pretty much, I mean, it's inspired by some actual people. It's pretty much made up. The character of Tito is based on a real person that my writer used to teach, because my writer is an English teacher in Northern Ireland, and he's basically a mixture of a few different troublesome characters that he's dealt with in the past. So he's inspired by a real person, but everyone else is sort of just made up.
Thank you.
Touching on the dismemberment scene, talk about your makeup effects people.
Oh, well, my special effects makeup guy, Dan Martin, is based in London. He's worked on many amazing films. Pretty much any good special effects are done by him. I'm trying to think of the top of my head now, I'm blanking out. But he's done films at touring festivals like Girl on the Third Floor, and he did the Richard Stanley's new movie Color Out of Space. He does lots of really good films. He's just an amazing special effects guy, and he has this amazing workshop with where we did the prosthetics. We did the mold of the body parts and the head, and yeah.
Anyone right there?
Hi, forgive me if I'm way off in my observation, but I couldn't help but watch this film, which is phenomenal, by the way, and get these Nicholas Winding Refn vibes. Did you?
I've had that.
Yeah.
I've been getting that a lot, but it's not intentional.
Okay, because I was just curious, but yeah, it's a beautifully shot film. It's very well done.
I mean, there's some neon lights, so maybe.
And just like the shock factor of the gore.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, I've heard that before. Not as much as it's been compared to. Interestingly, it's been mentioned many times as like a Ken Loach film, but as a genre film. So I mean, you could kind of say it's like Ken Loach meets Nick Refn, I guess. I didn't see it that way, but you could say it.
Anyone else have a question? Right there.
Hi there. Really enjoyed the film. Thank you so much. I was wondering, did you film in Belgium? Because I noticed there was a Belgian unit, and if so, what scenes and what drew you to Belgium?
Well, it was set up as a co-production between the UK and Belgium, so we had some financing coming from Belgium. It just fell together that way because of the co-producers that we were working with who loved the project. So we tried that's just the way it ended up getting set up. So part of that was the challenge of having to figure out how to split the shoot, because we had to obviously shoot some or do some work in Belgium. And so the film was shot in Belfast, but all of the interiors of her apartment are all set in Belgium. So that's pretty much half the movie that was shot there. And we also did post. Post was split between London and Belgium, Brussels. We did the sound mix in London, but the color grading was in Belgium. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Any possibility of a sequel?
Actually, my writer and I we're developing a TV series right now.
Oh.
So yes.
Nice. When we saw the face, I was like, there has to be a part 2.
Well, Sarah's story is not finished.
You know she's not done.
Imagine an Irish Breaking Bad, but with her. That's what we're doing.
Well, I mean, in the U.S., we don't really have people that, women that would be able to finish the movie off like this.
Right.
Women usually are more of the weaker of the sex, so to see her continue off and finish the
I mean, that's what
movie and then have her be the ending, it's like, oh my god, she's badass.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's what drew me to the project as well. I mean, her character was the main reason why I wanted to make the movie, because we don't really have enough
Single
characters.
mom, and she's doing all this.
Exactly.
I know, I aspire to be like her.
Good.
Anyone else?
Is that what you're moving on to next?
No, I have a bunch of other things. It really just depends on which one moves forward. But that's very early stages. We have a very rough outline.
Cool.
We'll see how it goes.
Anyone else?
So as I don't know if as a male director to approach a female character, did you have any difficulties, or did you like how's the partnership between you and the actor?
I don't really see the differences too much. I just approached it as a human character. I didn't say, oh, this is a woman. Like, how am I going to direct her as a man? I found the right actor. I think in Sarah, in that our collaboration was so close that we sort of all guiding each other the whole time. So I didn't even think about it from any other that kind of perspective. I think she brought a lot of that energy to it.
Yeah.
You know. That kind of like I said, we were guiding each other along the way. So I didn't really, I don't know, it's a difficult one to answer.
Yeah.
It's playing a bunch of festivals after here. I'm going to France next weekend. It's playing in Norway. It's going to Mexico City. It's just played in Australia yesterday. It's all over the place, but it's getting a theatrical release in the UK on the 25th of October, at the end of this month. And just a couple of days ago was picked up for the US distribution. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say